Okay, so we're now at the headquarters of this local cooperative in Bolivia, and it's really interesting to see what's trying to be achieved, what they're striving for. The whole issue around here is now they realize it's about quality. People will buy their coffee if it's good enough in a hugely competitive market, a global market. So what they're doing, two things they're doing is they're investing in education and infrastructure. Now, education-wise, behind me here, there's a farm. Well, I say a farm, it's like a test farm. So you'll see some tall trees which are over some coffee trees. So what they're doing here is they're determining which are the best type of trees for shade, too shady, too not enough shade, that kind of thing. They're also experimenting with the coffee varietals. So although we have Arabica as an overarching one, they're doing all sorts of other areas. Caturra has been mentioned. I'm not sure if Margaritas in there, but as I say, 2 or 3 different varietals are in there. They're also crossbreeding coffees, interestingly. So they have actually they're making one attempt at a Robusta rootstock, which is being with an Arabica grafted coffee to that, to see how that's going to be. What they find is that the Robusta is a little bit more resistant to some of the diseases that they experience, so they're experimenting with that as well. So great husbandry of coffee farms, and how do we improve that? On my left here, they've invested in 2 plants here. The one at the very farthest point is a collecting area for, well, this will be the whole cherries. Now, I was sort of thinking, well, maybe they'll be doing the sort of taking the cherries out the farms, but they haven't. These are the whole cherries which have been picked. Apparently one of the issues is up high, it's very difficult to dry coffee beans because there's so much cloud cover. So it's better for them to bring it down here. The other positive side is about all of this is that it actually leads to consistency. So the greater volume they can get from the co-op all doing the same thing, the more likely the end product will be consistent. So at the far end there we have this collecting point, which actually in a funny way is kind of connected to the lower building. The lower building is both a meeting point and where they have big meetings, all the members of the cooperative come around, they discuss issues, they learn about things. And the machine in the front here is sort of on its side is what we call a mechanical dryer. It basically dries the parchment coffee to the right level of dryness, so it then gets taken out of here and taken across to La Paz, where it's further processed before it ends up in coffee sacks, which end up in global markets, Jersey included in that. I mean, the level of investment is significant. The gentleman has just said to us here, the building at the far end there, that's put them back $60,000. Now, in a country like Bolivia, that is serious, serious money to be investing in one particular building. I'm not sure if they managed to raise that all themselves or whether they got help in grants, I don't know. But for the drying station, they did. They said the government has actually helped finance that drying point, that mechanical dryer, which I'm sure they didn't have much change out of, our equivalent of £100,000. Interestingly also, how they're using the dryer to be more eco-friendly, as it were, the dryer is actually being fired from the husks of the coffee. So they've got a thumping great sort of furnace on the side of this dryer, which sends the hot air into the dryer to dry the coffee.